Oops,
Hi,
hold on.
this meeting is being recorded.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's always being recorded, but anyhow, I meant to record it to the cloud. I'm a little nervous. Hold on.
Okay. I
I'm
just
gonna
got a
double.
thing popped up said, turn this down.
I'm gonna take those out. I'm gonna double record it because it just gave me a message I didn't like.
Okay.
Okay. All right. How are you? Can you still
I'm
hear me?
fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. Quit.
And how's everything with podcast
It went really
launch?
well. We were top 10 in Canada, and yeah.
Woo!
Top 100 in the US. So that was crazy. I didn't expect that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Oh, I can hear you
Yeah.
way better now for some reason. Weird.
What'd you say?
I can hear you better just all of a sudden. Weird.
Oh, okay. Here I am.
It's all good here. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to split screen my notes and it's
Okay.
not working. Okay, one sec. There we go. There we go. Okay. No. All right. Okay. I started reading your book
Oh, good.
on the poolside of Costa Rica.
Okay.
With
Hold on a second. Whoo, you're moving a lot. Is it on your lap?
hang on. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I get nauseous when you like.
No, you told
Whoa.
me that before.
I'm like,
Okay, there we
oh,
go.
we're at sea. I was like, oh, okay. Okay. All right. So you started reading the book.
Yes, I did, and I had every intention of finishing it, and it didn't happen because I was on vacation and drinking and watching movies on the airplane and stuff. But I'm excited to finish it. I loved it. I feel like I have content, funnily enough, content for my Modere team for months. Like, I have to get a hold of the highlighter option in Kindle because I'm just like, so I couldn't, as I told you, it's an ongoing issue to Modere, Shift with Cheryl, Modere, Shift with Cheryl, traditional what. So I found myself reading it and really thinking of my Modere business and my team and how I can help them with the invaluable information from it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that is where I really went when I was like, oh my gosh, next team training, next team training, next team training. Yeah. I thought it was fantastic.
So let me just pause you there. When you finish it, I would love a video testimonial from you. Now, here's the thing. I even put how to put a video testimonial in the academy because what happens to me, and I have to keep telling myself to caution people about this, what you just said, I would love to have that in a video, like next team, next team. And then I ask people to do a video for me and then they trying to repeat what's in the book. Like, oh, we learned this and she taught you this. And then half the time they get it wrong because it's not their content. And so you're probably great at giving testimonials, but let me just tell you that check it out. There is a good training in the academy on how to give a good video testimonial, also when to use your name and all that stuff. And B, when the time comes, I just want it to be what you said, like, wow, I started thinking of how I could help my team and improve that. That's it. I don't want you to get all articulate and try to sound academic. That's exactly what I'd love to hear. Like, I was thinking of my team, boom, boom, boom. So when the time comes, I'll help you, but I would love a video testimonial from you. Love it.
Yes, okay. I can absolutely do that. What, like, time? Like 30 seconds, a minute?
30 seconds. The less, the better.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. No, I really was like, again, as I have seen the ranks I've seen in my Modere business, it's because I got in early and I have a lot of placements. So for me as a leader, delivering content as a leader at that stature is something that I kind of struggle with. I shy away from that. So that actually like empowered me to be able to have this content that's different from the Tony Robbins and the, you know, the Rachel Hollis. And it's like, oh, here's this book that I discovered that like, I like to offer that original content because you're constantly hearing the same gurus all the time, right? So, oh my gosh, I found this gem, you know, it's on Kindle, it's few bucks, like totally doable, blah, versus like a Tony Robbins event that's $300 or whatever. So I just went right to Modere. I'm very excited about Modere right now because I just went on a freaking free trip to Costa Rica with my sister. Right. They spoiled us like crazy. They pumped us up for Black Friday like nobody's business. My team's excited. last year at this time, I hit the rank and I promised myself I wanted a $10,000 check.
Yeah.
And last November, I got my $10,000 check
Wow.
from Modere. Haven't seen it since.
Okay.
Haven't seen it since. If anything, it went like my average is like 5 or 6, and I've been averaging like 3, 4 the last few months because I pulled back in the summer, and I've got my supply teaching, and I buffed up my supply teaching because Modere went like this.
Yeah.
I've got these expenses. I got my kid in private school. I'm trying to be mindful and not take on too much. So, where was I going with that? I'm just very excited about Modere. Black Friday falls in November and Cyber Monday falls in December.
Oh, okay.
So I have the potential for not only myself, but to give my team a December 15th and a January 15th awesome paycheck with these sales.
Cool. Okay. Okay.
Like, what a beautiful thing to do, right?
Yeah.
So my heart is with Shift with Cheryl, but my finances and stuff is for the next. So I've been thinking about like a massive launch as of January 1st, 2020.
Okay. For what?
Shift with Cheryl.
Okay. So what do you want to launch?
So that's what I have 6 weeks to figure out.
Okay. You have less than 6 weeks because you need to figure it out and then you need to launch it. So I knew exactly what I wanted to do and I worked like a son of a gun for 4 weeks. So we need to get clear on that quickly. So tell me what you're thinking.
Okay. So let me go over to my notes. So I delved in, I can't see it, so I'm just going to read this.
Sure.
But I want to be able to see your face. Let me see what I can do here. Okay.
I've been told it's expressive, so that's not helpful.
No, it's good. Okay. So we're veering away from the co-parenting, more like 80-20 co-parenting, looking at the modern mother, the modern woman in 2020. Definitely think, for me, 35 to 40 has been a really huge shifting years. The 35 to 40. 35, I was married. I almost died of a heart attack. I gave birth. At 40, I've been a single mother, switched my career. My finances have changed. My mental state has changed, blah, 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 blah. So Tony Robbins has this powerful quote that people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they can do in 5. So 35 to 40 has been tremendous shifting years, but it took 5 years for those massive shifts. And those massive shifts came from a lot of little shifts. So what I've been learning about is the crux of it is modern mothers are beyond overwhelmed. That's the pain point. They are overwhelmed. They are overwhelmed with raising their children. They are overwhelmed with balancing their career and their life. They are overwhelmed with it's so loud. You go into chapters to try to get a self-help book and you leave crying because there's 4,000 self-help books. You want to make a good meal, you go and try to find something and there's 40 different ways to make asparagus. Like, remember back when my mother says, when I was growing up, there was one cookbook. It was plaid. I remember it. There was one cookbook. There was one way to lose weight. There really is one way to lose weight. You have to balance your calories, right? So the pendulum has swung to incredibly loud. We live in a loud world. Everywhere there's things screaming at us, and it's even unconscious. It's not necessarily the TV. It could just be the opinions of others. It could be the magazines while we're checking out. It's the abundance, overabundance on how to be a good mom, how to raise a good kid, raise a kid that's this, and this, and not this, and this, carry a career, blah, blah, blah. It's just in so many capacities. Women are just so overwhelmed that people are throwing their hands up and they're trying to be 2% here, 2% there, 2% there, 2% there, and they're dividing. Multitasking was made for computers. It's not made for a human. A human's brain isn't supposed to multitask. I read that somewhere. You can have, but the idea of
it wasn't even invented for computers, actually, but that's where they got the term. But yeah. Go ahead.
I find it fascinating because you can be more productive in 15 minutes, hands-on with your kid, 15 minutes of doing yoga, 20 minutes of listening to a podcast, can have over 5 years, not in 24 hours, not in a week, but if you put this into practice, it can have significant effects on your peace. And the way to stop overwhelm is to become aware of it. But we don't slow down enough to become aware of it. You can't fix something unless you're aware of something, but you can't become aware of something unless you slow down.
Right.
So we need to teach these women how to slow down so they can become aware, so they can fix it. And this is a process, and it doesn't happen overnight. And we have to shift the overwhelm. We have to calm the overwhelm. We have to shift from Tasmanian devils to slowing ourselves down, to breaking the cycles, right? Like, it's the same as a cycle of abuse, right? Kids are struggling because they see their parents running around like Tasmanian devils, and they're Tasmanian devils. And then, like, my sister, I'd never call her out, but she's the classic case of, like, she's a Tasmanian devil, and then when her kids are rushing, she's like, you don't need to rush. Not everything's a race.
Yeah.
But all they do is see their mother racing around like a chicken with their head cut off.
Yeah.
So this is where I've kind of started looking into that. How can I serve? How can I help people slow down? How can I help these women slow down? How can I help bring them to the awareness of what they need to change? How can I help them? Like, that's where I'm starting to see my role in this, what I could serve them, what I could help them with. I can help them with that because I've done it. What I get confused and lost on is, and we've talked about this before, is I want to bring them ultimately to me, not veer them away. So, like, I was writing about shifts from buying your kids something to buying yourself a book or a session in therapy. I don't want them to lead them away. I want to lead them to me, but I need some confidence around what I can serve them. So I feel like as I'm making these shifts, I'm leading them to other people. Go buy yourself a book, go listen to Tony Robbins in the car, listen to Tony Robbins in the car with your kids. That's what Pitbull did. Pitbull, his story, I'll never forget it. I heard him on stage at a Tony Robbins event, don't know his music, but he talked about how they lived in squalor, in the projects, in a dangerous area. It was very, very hopeless, but his mother would slap his hand if he tried to press stop on the Tony Robbins cassette tapes that she played in the car on the way to school and back. And he swears upside down and sideways that stayed in him and helped him realize that there was something bigger and blah, 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 blah. So that's sort of, I feel like I'm trying to niche and then it gets bigger. And then I try to niche and then it gets bigger. And
okay,
then
so hold on. Let me stop you. So what I want to do is say, you gave me a lot of valuable content. There's a lot of stuff that you can do here. So what I want to stop you from is when you put out stuff that you're proud of and you say, here's my content, then you start pulling forward explanation, justification, and you start explaining and excusing it, right? So we want to stop you there. So don't apologize for it. Don't tell me what's not working. Just tell me what is working, right? Okay. So what I would say to you, here's some things off the top of my head. First of all, I know that's really interesting to me. You talked about my book and stuff like that. And there's a lot of things I want to tell you at the same time. So in a way, I think you talked about the book and Modere, which is great to hear. But what I also hear, underlining theme of what you're saying is, really, if the world was a magical place, you would take that book and then do it like, that's really dark, sorry. You would do the same thing for moms. So really, in a way, there's a lot of components to win the hour, win the day with mom. So you're seeing how that impacts other things. Okay. The other thing, I know you talk a lot about Tony Robbins, and he has many assets and many great things. One of the things that tends not to work for him is he gets you all hopped up, but there's nothing to do, right? So then you're like, rah, and that's all great, but then you need something to do in your hands. So I know you're a big fan of positivity, and as am I, and it's the underlying current for everything I do, but at the same time, you have to have something to do. So what I would say to you when I hear you talk, some things that come into my head right off the bat is, the modern mother madness, right? I mean, that could be a phrase you use. Yes. Then you could be talking about, hey, let's make the shift with Cheryl, meaning like, Yeah, why don't you do it with me? We're in this together. So here's the great thing. There's many things that you can give tips on and say, look, I've come here, but what you want to do, what serves your audience best is also sometimes when you're doing it with them. So like, for example, now when I did a podcast today and I did a speaking gig last week, people can look at me and think, oh, you're just organized. And how annoying is that? Win the hour, win the day. So now what I would often use in the past is I would give them example of, look, it's really hard to get a book out. And so many people say, I'll start a book or whatever. And I use the example of the strategies I did in the book to write the book, meaning like I worked backwards and I decided how many pages per day did I have to produce to get the book out at the right time. Because it's really easy to say, well, I don't feel like it today. I don't think I have any content in me today. But when I broke it down 5 pages per day, I realized, well, if I don't have 5 pages in me today, I don't have 10 tomorrow, right? So then it was like, I have to produce 5 pages. Now what happens is people, don't want to hear that I'm organized or if they think I have it all together. So now I give the example of, oh my gosh, I jumped up because my team thought I could do it and we followed the strategies and we produced a podcast in 3.5 weeks. And we didn't just produce it. We produced it with 8 people and many of which were very influential. So I was working around their schedule. They weren't working around mine. And we ranked top 10. So I didn't just get a podcast up. I produced something that was of value, not just get it up. So people want to hear like, oh, so she's got this book, Win the Hour, Win the Day, but now she's telling me how she's using the strategies today. So you can talk about Shift with Cheryl and some of the things you've learned and how you want to take them on this journey with you. Like, here's what I have become awakened to. Let's get in this together. Yes. So when we do that, we can come up, originally what I would say to you is don't worry about your assets, like sending them off to get a book and all this other stuff. What I would encourage you to do, and this is going to take a little bit of research, but we want to start having really simple, tangible things that we could give them. Like, here's the 7 steps to move from, to get away from the modern mother madness syndrome or whatever.
I love that. I want to, is there something modern mother madness? I have to Google.
I don't know. I just made it up in my head.
Okay. I have to Google. One sec. Modern mother madness. I'm just Googling something. The madness of motherhood. There's a few modern mommy madness on Facebook. Modern mommy madness. There is a Facebook page.
Okay, hold on one sec. I want to check something else.
There is a Facebook page here, modern, but it could be Shift with Cheryl and have the
Hold on one sec.
Just okay. It's not huge.
But it's only a phraseology anyhow. One sec. Hold on. Why is my computer taking so long? Oh, because I'm recording double. Okay. One sec. So what we can be doing is we can be putting out assets that are very simple, like, so for example, I just made another PDF and it's like the top 7 tools I use every day. Now I'm going to talk about tools I use for time efficiency, but at the same time, I will explain to them throughout it. There's fundamentals that you have to know. Tools won't save your butt, but here's some of the stuff I use. So we could come up with stuff. We don't want it to be airy fairy, like go get a book, whatever.
Yeah.
That's just too like, okay, you don't understand my life if you're telling me go get a book. I don't have time to get a book. I don't have time to freaking read a book. You don't know my child, right?
Right.
Modern.
I'm looking. She's in a red dress, this one. She definitely has activity on here. It's not too crazy. And she's got her hashtag modern mommy madness. Like she's...
Hey, hold on. modernmothermadness.com is available. So I would buy that just so you own it. I'm not saying we're going to go away from Shift with Cheryl, but that way if you produce, maybe you'll write a book in 2 years, who knows, but then you own it.
Okay, on GoDaddy?
Yeah. It's 99 cents.
Find your domain, modern mother.
Yeah.
Madness. Yeah, 99 cents. Okay, I can get that done.
Okay, so I would do that tonight. This is
Add to cart.
This is how modern mommy madness is taken. So I would go modern mother madness, which I think sounds better anyhow, because mommy limits the age because you got little kids. So I would book that tonight. This is actually how I named Sue's company, because I was like, Sue, you really like therapy. And I was just coming up with the ideas. And she's like, no, I like the first one. I'm like, well, that's just the first one. I have other ideas. And she's like, no. I was just on a whiteboard giving her ideas, right?
Okay, it's asking me for privacy protection.
No, you don't need that.
I think this is Linux web hosting.
No, you don't need any of it. You just need the name.
Okay. That's what I did with Shift with Cheryl.
And I would buy the .com and the .ca.
Oh, okay, wait. There are no items in your basket. Okay, anyway, I could do that after. I'll do it.
Do that after so that you own it. And worst case scenario, if you never use it, you wasted $5, okay?
Right.
So what we could do is, this is the great part. So what I would say to you is this. I hear, we got all this stuff, careers, kids, co-parenting. I made some shifts in my life, but I want to take you on this journey with me. And so that you can continue to make the shift with Cheryl. Like, let's make shifts together. Let's figure this out. Let's get from the loud to the quiet, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, and
there's so much in there. Like, mindfulness is such an on trend right now. Yoga. Yeah. I'd love to do yoga. Tomorrow I'm getting a heart monitor put on.
So what we need to do is you need to go in and you need to do some research.
Okay.
And you need to figure out what can you give these people. So we don't want to give them a list of join yoga, be mindful, read a book. That, and I say this with love, can come across insulting, right? So it's kind of like other people who do time management. They'll say something like, get organized, make your priorities. Oh, well, then I'll just get organized. I should have that done in 45 minutes, right?
Right.
So that's insulting. Then you don't clearly understand the problem. So you don't want to give them big sweeping things like that. So I think you have a really good grasp on what you want to do. So what I would urge you to do is to go in and redo some research, dive into Amazon, dive into those places that give you questions, and start looking at things that you could answer, and think of things along the lines of something that we can make a really simple PDF for. Sometimes the PDF can have 5 things in it, and one could be a video, one can be a blurb, but we have to have something to give them. And it could be here are the 5 signs that that you are participating. This is the wrong word, but here's the 5 signs that you've been sucked into the modern mother madness.
Yes.
Right. So they could be signs of the problem. It doesn't have to be the answer, because we want to be agitating the problem long before we get to the answer. So we agitate, and then we say, well, we do have some solutions, and here's what it is. That was my mistake in the beginning. I'd say, oh, you're busy, you're overwhelmed. Let me start teaching you about the calendar as you're whipping by in social media, and people aren't resonating with the problem deep enough, right? And if the solution is any good, you can't fix it through social media as they're scrolling by in 3 seconds. If you're worth your salt, you're not going to be able to fix their problem that they didn't create overnight.
Right.
You can't undo it with one PDF. Right.
You know what I'd like to get into? Like, so for example, for me, a huge piece of coming to the awareness that I needed to come to was really paying close attention to my reactions and noticing that I didn't like the way I was reacting to things. I was overreacting. I was reacting the way my mother would react. We was able to come to an awareness that I didn't like the way I reacted to things. I overreacted. I got myself worked up. So now I'm aware, I'm truly aware that there's this issue with me reacting. Now I can look at, how do I react? Why do I react? And some reactions are programmed since infancy. And then you get into, now this is getting kind of crazy, but between my own post-traumatic stress disorder stuff, I'm really into like the neuropathy of how we can like change our neurons to react differently. And It's a process. Now, my aunt used to make me cry at the drop of the hat because she was just so ludicrous in some of the things she used to say. But I learned how to react differently towards her. And now when she says these things, I laugh and we joke.
So now that's much further down the road. So what I want you to think about is getting them into the gate. So the gate would be 7 signs of modern mother madness. And number 1 could be you hear yourself reacting. It's kind of like you hear your outside voice before you filtered it with your inside voice, right?
Yes. Panicking.
Right. So you can say number 2 might be, your last thought before you go to sleep at night is you feel bad about something you did. Number 3 is you realize you keep telling everyone around you to rush. So what we want to do is start listing what are the symptoms of modern mother madness. And I would ask you to do a lot of research on that, because then what we'll do is we can be putting out different things on social media and testing what resonates with people. Right?
Okay. So can I talk for just a second?
Sure.
So looking at the next little while, and knowing that I don't know what all of this is going to develop, coming off Costa Rica, Black Friday, Cyber Monday coming up, I'm really on social media. I need to be all hands Modere right now.
Okay.
Like I'm talking like the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
I really have to gear up the Modere, because this is like my summer. This is my like 2 months of like big where stuff. I make a crap load of money, and then I can not worry about paying you for the next 6 months because I rock. So my birthday is December 12th, and then we have Christmas, and then we have like the end of the decade. Yeah. And so I really I know that I'm not going to launch a podcast series on January 1st, 2020, but I would like to go live in a video on January 1st, 2020. And even if I just talk about this passion project that I've this goal that I've set for myself, this passion project, I don't even know what it all looks like yet, you guys, but it's something, you've seen Shift with Cheryl, you've seen the yellow, you've seen the branding, you've seen the pictures. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. I've been some sort of something January 1st, 2020, even if it's not a full out hardcore launch like we want to, but I want to go live to my audience January 1st, 2020. Modere's done. The black sales are done. I'm still doing Modere in my private group, but you're going to see this Shift with Cheryl passion project come alive on my Facebook wall. It's something I've wanted to do. I'm putting it out there. I don't even know what it's going to look like completely. This is what I want to do, something along those lines. And then I developed a new Modere group. I've been messaging people all week, putting them into that private group. So I'm prepping. This was the missing link for me. I'm prepping to take Modere off of my wall, off of my social media, and more private into this group, so I can focus on all this stuff on my wall.
Okay.
So that's sort of what I'm thinking. Is that crazy?
No, it's not crazy. I just hit a button though, then now I'm looking at myself, but hold on.
Okay. But I feel like I do have an audience. So for me, just switching over to all this co-parenting or Shift with Cheryl mother madness thing is just going to be like, what? I'd like to go live. I'd like to tell them what I'm doing.
Okay. So there's always a plan B and C and D. So if the world was a magical place, what I would tell you is you want to be testing your audience and seeing which places they gravitate towards. Like, as I said to you before, when I started with Win the Hour, Win the Day, I was really talking about the calendar, and that's the last thing people want to hear from me now. But I had experience offline with my offline clients. So I was really confident that this was different, that I knew. So they always tell you marketing, test, put your stuff out there, find what happens, test. The audience will tell you what they want. Kind of like you don't invite 10 people over for dinner, like even your family, and say, I'll decide what you're eating. You've known over the years that they like this food, that food. And then you might even say, it's Christmas. Do you want turkey again this year? Like you're getting feedback, right? So ideally you want to test. Now I was like, no, this time it's different. I'm the exception to the rule, because I had done this offline for years and I thought I knew, but the offline one-to-one relationship is very different than the online people passing you by relationship. So if the world was a perfect place, yeah, I'd have you putting stuff out next week so we can start to see where the nibbles are and we could build on our successes really quickly. Having said that, if your strategy is, look, I need to focus on this until the new year, that's fine. So what that means is, what I would say to you then is, we're just going to dive deeper into the research and start making a bunch of tangibles and be really clear. So I'm going to say, like, let's say, okay, let's go with the let's agitate the problem and start talking about what are the 7 signs of modern mother madness? What are the 5 panic or the 5 reasons you should be in a panic, or how do you know it's an emergency? 5 signs that you are in emergency for modern mother madness. This is all worded very poorly, but that kind of thing. And then we can have, you know, PDFs and do things like that, that we can have giveaways. So some people opt, hey, does this sound like you? Have you experienced modern mother madness? Click below. And then we can have PDFs and things like that that go out. So we can get all that together and make it look good. And the only thing is, when we throw it out there, we may put 5 things out and they only love 1, which is fine. It's no big deal. So what then I would encourage you to do then is, during the next few weeks where you feel like you have to be all modere online, then this is a time where we really sink in and stay focused and niche down into really great content.
I love it. I can do that. I can do that behind the scenes right now.
Yeah. So stay away from the solutions. Don't be like, okay, I feel better when I do yoga or eat vegetables, all that stuff, because it's too generic, it's too broad, it's too insulting. And then you've just given them the solution, it's over. Because ideally what we want to do is agitate the problem, because really, when you do something that's amazing, really all you're doing is making people aware. The biggest successes in the modern world is somebody that changes the awareness of a situation.
Yes. And that's the first step in the 12-step program, right? My mother's been in AA for 3 decades. We became aware. Like, it is the necessary step. You can't change something that you're not aware of.
Or that you're not aware why it's a problem. Like, people, for me with Win the Hour, where I became aware is I always thought, well, once I get past this next thing, once it's Christmas, once I get caught up, once I, and then when I realized, oh, I keep hearing myself say that for years, then clearly there's a different problem here, right?
Right.
So when you think this is a problem and somebody says, oh, it's not because hockey season is intense and Christmas is really busy and my husband works shift work, it's because I succumb to modern mother madness.
Yes.
It's crazy. Okay.
Oh my gosh, this is exciting. What do you think?
Yeah. So then you have to allow them to, they have to figure out that this is the new problem. It's not all the other stuff they're blaming on. Oh, if hockey season was shorter. Oh, if my husband didn't work shift work. So you have to let them, enlighten them that this is a problem, but we're not talking about solutions. Solutions we can pull over and get them into a group, do a weekly thing, get them into coaching, or say, we're going to do a webinar this Friday. You know, I'm just going to give you some free tips on how to deal with modern mother madness. Make the shift with Cheryl. I've made it. I want to see you make it. I'm still making it. It's an evolving process.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. Because these are things you don't hear often. You don't hear, it's the overwhelm. This is the crisis. This is the issue. This is the pain point. Like, this is what I've tried to figure out, is the overwhelm. And overwhelm fits in with that co-parenting mom. It fits in with the single mom. It fits in with, it really fits in.
And it fits in with the fact that, you know, when I was a kid, not when dinosaurs roamed the earth, you know, if you were on the other end of the phone, your mom picked up, she heard who you were talking to. Never mind that you were in the kitchen with the only phone or whatever, and she could overhear stuff. Now somebody's got a phone at 12 and they're watching videos or talking to people that you have no idea, because they have a separate communication to the outside world, right? So there's all that stuff. What I caution you for, and I'm going to say this with love, so I want you to hear me, okay? You are a very highly articulate, expressive person with a lot of feeling and caring and just joy, and you want to heal everybody and love everybody, and every time you mention somebody in your life, you want to tell me how wonderful, like my sister did this and the day it rained, the sun burnt, like you're just a poet, right? And what's going to happen with, if we do this, you can't be explaining and doing almost what I call therapy all the time. If you say, here are the 7 signs to modern mother madness, then that's it. You can't relate to them and justify their feelings and explain it and pull all that information forward. And you have to learn how to do that now, because when I get you into a group setting or do something like that, you can't be the predominant one talking, and you can't be justifying all their feelings and giving all those examples. You have to move it along quickly. The less you say, the better, because then they're saying it.
Okay.
So they're help me with that. Their head.
You're going to remind me of that as we go.
Yeah, because
Because that is my nature. That is
when
my
you're
nature.
hear this, when you're teaching, you're preaching. And so if they don't do the predominant amount of the talking, and you don't pull back and stop all that poetic sharing that you do, which makes you a lovely, wonderful human being, you're a joy to be around with. I mean, there, you know, you could open a garbage can and say, feel the vegetables, somebody put them in the earth, and then they process them, and now we put them in the, look at the circle of life, Chris. Like, I mean, it makes you a lovable human being. But it's going to make you a bad business person if you don't let them figure out the questions and the answers themselves. You have to agitate the problem, and you can't rescue them.
Oh, okay.
The rescuing them comes way down here. And if you're going to do it and they're going to pay you for it, then you have to show leadership skills. And leaders don't rescue. Leaders guide you a little bit, and then you come to the answer. Because you know what? If you come to the answer,
Oh my gosh, I have to write that down. Leaders don't rescue, they guide.
Right. And what happens is when they realize these things themselves, then they own the ideas. If you're throwing them at them, then you're teaching them. So any lesson that's been profound in your life, and when you speak to me about it, it's because you came to the realization. So we want to educate them so they realize
Yes.
that this is a problem.
Yes. Yes.
So you have to learn, and I'll tell, this is what you want stuff to work on for the launch. You have to learn to stop expressing everything. You need to lead them, guide them, have them come to the realization, agitate the problem,
yes.
and your words per minute have to go way down.
Okay.
Makes sense?
It makes total sense. Like we talk about being a better listener than you are a talker, right? Listen.
Yeah. And it's not that you're a bad listener, because I often confuse the two. It's your exuberance. What I tell people, your strength is also your weakness.
Right.
Right. And I had to really learn that. That was really, really hard for me not to rescue people. Right. Because it didn't serve them. Right. It, just like your daughter, if every time she stumbled when she was learning how to walk, you ran over and rescued her, she'd still be sitting there. Right. So it doesn't serve them. And for you, because you're such an emotive, expressive, caring person, like anytime you want to tell me a story, like, okay, I'm going to Costa Rica with my sister. So this is what I think I'll put on Facebook. The day my baby was born. Like, it could be emotion. It could be a Hallmark movie of the week. Every time you tell me a story about anything, could be a Hallmark movie of the week. Right. And that's loving, but that's not going to get people to, oh, I'm here and I need to get here. Because you feel the void with too much love and happiness and joy. And I'm not about being negative at all, right?
No,
not
but realistic.
Yeah.
Relatable.
Yeah, you need to be relatable, and they need to say, oh, okay, I want to follow you on the journey. It'd be like if I was a guide taking a Sherpa up the mountain, and it's like, you know, I'm sitting there saying, oh, it's so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, we just want to go up the mountain. Will you carry our stuff, get us up there? Like, you know what I mean? So you got to stop. You got to let them have the experience themselves. And in order for them to want to follow you, you have to take them step by step.
Yes.
You can't come down the mountain and tell them how beautiful it is and expect them to have the same experience.
No, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. That makes complete and utter 1,000% sense to me. It's almost like a nature versus nurture thing, because it's in my nature to be very like that. So that is a skill that I need to learn and hone and learn, and it will come with it. And you have to be like, shh. Yeah. And I'm open to that. I'm open to that because I want to learn.
So I'm going to pick on you a little bit because I had to learn this too.
Okay.
So I was just about to tell you something you need to do, and you talked over me to tell me how you're going to learn. You just said, I'm going to learn. I'm going to be a better listener. So I was talking to you. Okay. And I said, okay. And I was halfway through a sentence, and you said, I'm going to be a better listener. And I'm like, okay, I'm still talking. So it's something, listen, I had to learn this. It was really hard. A, I want to rescue people, and because I knew I could do it for them. B, my mother is one of 17 people, and they're mostly females. And in PEI down east, they all talk really loud, really fast. If you want to be heard, you talk louder, you talk faster, right? So it was in my DNA, and it was really hard. I mean, I did not understand. John used to get so annoyed that I would interrupt him. And then I got better and I didn't interrupt him, but he'd look at me and say, you didn't interrupt me. But I can see it in your eyes. You didn't listen to a damn thing I said. You just waited for me to finish talking, and then you threw yours in. Okay, I won't interrupt you. I'll memorize my sentence. Okay, here's it. So I don't have a problem. I find because your strength is your weakness. So for me, I have the same energy that you have. I'm high energy. I'm easily excitable. I'm passionate. I'm enthusiastic. But you can't squish somebody's learning with that, right? Think about your daughter and all the learning she has to do. You can't say, oh my God, wait till you learn math. 2 + 2 is 4, and they'll open the whole world for you. It'll be so exciting. You'll be able to know what's on sale and everything will change for you. Don't worry about learning the math. Let me tell you about how great it is. And the rainbows, you know what I mean? So it's not that you're a bad listener. You need stronger leadership skills.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be an authority, right? And an authority, if you think about it, the bigger the authority, often the less they say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? This is
more about presence.
Yes. And if you think of, I remember one time I was watching, it was an old thing, 2 things. I was watching Martin Luther King do his speech. And then I was watching Bill Clinton talk about somebody's funeral, and he was doing his speech. And I realized, they spoke so slowly and they were so impactful with their words. And I would have got up and said, oh my God, last night I had a dream. And this is what I dreamt. And I would have been so excited about it. I would have wanted to shove my ideas down your throat because I would have been so passionate about it. And I realized their silence, how they had gaps in it, gave them leadership, allowed the people to come with their ideas. I had a dream. Everybody pause and listen. So really profound leaders have quiet spaces so you can join them. And I've had to harness the same energy. There's times when I do videos, I can turn the energy back up to regular Chris. But then there's times where I have to, when I'm doing one-on-one, you'll notice sometimes when I want you to listen, I'll change how quickly I'm talking. I talk in a different volume. And I had to, here's an example. I took two public speaking courses to learn how to talk differently, which John said I should have got my money back on both of them. So it's not, you have many talents that are going to serve you in presentations, in videos, but that one talent won't serve you everywhere. And that one talent will be a real deficit in a leadership role. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. Different contexts, different.
Yeah. And it's a different tool. And this is one of the things, I'm not tooting my own horn, but I have spent a huge amount of money on communication, leadership, sales, marketing, how to do a podcast, how to write a book. So what I take pride in is you could be working with another marketer and they will put you out with all the right assets and here's your PDF and here's whatever. And you could be bombing, because I've had a lot of training in PR as well. And this is a big part of PR is how to present yourself online as a leader. And so lucky for you, we're not going to put all this stuff out there and then you come back later and go, well, all my friends liked me on Facebook. How come no one's really buying into this? And it's because you're using the wrong tool in the wrong place. So we're really lucky that we get the opportunity to layer all this learning on at the same time, because other places wouldn't give you this. And most people, to be really honest, most people would not be this direct with you, because if your feelings, if you weren't what I call my people, because I know you can take this, it would be awkward. Like, oh, what's she telling me? But I know you can hear this. Mm-hmm. And so this is really something that other people will fumble and fall a lot for years before they figure this out. So this is a really good opportunity for you.
Well, we talk a lot in, I'm very grateful and very excited. I always get excited. Every time I talk to you, I get excited more. I never get off the phone feeling overwhelmed. I always get off our calls feeling excited, a little unsure, a little can't see, but in Modair, we talk a lot about ego and how we have to shelf it to move forward. And that's just how it works. Ego is the enemy. And when somebody's talking to you and you're starting to feel a little defensive, that's when you pay attention.
Yeah.
That is precisely when you pay attention, because that's where you're getting your personal growth. That's where you're growing. That's where you're learning. So if everybody could be aware of their defenses, and turn that could be a topic, I don't know, down the road, and turn it into, like I have learned over therapy over years, over personal development, when I feel defensive, that is when I zone in, because there's something there, there's an opportunity. So I'm beyond open, and it served me well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It's served me well. So I will delve in now as we punch out this content, and I'm just going to send you Google Doc after Google Doc. Is that what I'm going to do?
Sure. Yeah. So what I would say to you is, I mean, you can send it to me, make sure you're on the right path. But I wouldn't worry too much. Like it's not like we got a deadline of next Friday. So what I would say to you is buy that domain. I would say to you, do research and look at different things that I want you to be thinking within the framework of what are the 5 signs of a modern mother madness? What are the 7 ways you know you're experiencing modern madness? Whatever. What are, 8 ways that you can make the shift with Cheryl? Like, but no, because that's a solution. So just start doing research and think about things that people can relate to in simple agitations. They can't be big stories. It just has to be simple agitations. And you might do one, let's say it's the 7 signs you're experiencing modern mother madness, which is too long, right? Too long of a title, but let's say you're doing that. And one is you hear yourself snapping at people throughout the day. Number 2 might be, you feel guilt and overwhelmed periodically through the day. Number 3 might be whatever, something. You might then find that the next one you go, oh, that was pretty good. You know what? I can do one just on communication. Here's the 7 signs of, communication issues for someone experiencing modern mother madness, right? So, and we have to be careful how many times we say that, because it is a mouthful to say. So I think it's not going to be something we say over and over again, but it is something that will grab people's attention. And it might come to the point where it's just called MMM, but it could be a really great symptom. And it could be something, especially where you like it, you could have memes and cartoons, and you can make it like funny. There's a lot you can play around with that.
I love that. I was thinking that myself. MMM. M tripled. Like, you have M squared, M3.
Yeah.
Something funny on that. So lastly, I definitely do want to put something out there on January 1st, 2020.
Sure.
Whether it's a teaser, whether it's MMM or a live, or so I would love your help as we move forward over the next few weeks on what that looks like. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if it's a formal launch. I don't care if it's a 30-minute live. I don't care if it's just an MMM, but I'd like to put something.
Yeah, don't worry about that. When we create all these things, you can do whatever. You can start having opt-ins and funnels, and you can do a live, and know that, though, just know this, whatever you do, no matter how prepared we are, whatever we decide, because you're coming out in silence in January. Like, I talked for weeks and I'm now going to do this podcast. Here's what my cover looks like. What's your feedback? And
I see.
Do that. And so the longer the takeoff, the longer the flight. Now, I made the same mistake with my book, because I was a person who liked to say, this isn't what I'm going to do. This is what I did, because everyone's going to write a book. So I really cut myself short, because I just said, oh, here's my book, right?
What about something like in my life, in Modere, we talk a lot about how curiosity is powerful. People who do follow me, they've seen the Shift with Cheryl, they've seen the yellow, they know that I run a Shift with Cheryl page. So could it be something, and then we could talk more about this, but I mean, even a live going, Happy New Year, it's January 1st, 2020. I am so excited to announce that I'm embarking on a passion project that I have been wanting to do.
That's all I'm telling you. All I'm telling you is, starting January 1st, we could do bait hooks, we could do teasers, we could do whatever. And you might start releasing a drip campaign the very next week. All I'm saying to you is, don't be disappointed whatever you put out January 1st. Ta-da, I'm here, and I didn't tell you anything about it. But you can say, ta-da, I'm here, and now I'm ready to tell you about it.
Yes. Yeah. Something. Yeah. I'd appreciate your help with it. I don't expect fireworks and the gates to open up.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I would like to do something where it's like, hey, I'm going to try this now.
Yeah, or that's fine.
Something like that. It could be 3 minutes, but like something where I'm like, this is, I don't know, something. I'd like to do something on January 1st, 2020, day 1, or I don't know, something.
No, that's fine. I've already got it in my head.
Okay.
So what I would say to you is, buy it and do the research and start thinking of assets that you can give people regarding modern mother madness. And I think the more you dive into it, the more you realize, and there's this and this, and then you realize you probably have too much. So then you have to narrow down that, okay, maybe I just start off and understand. You might think, oh, I just start off with communication. Like you can't talk about, like I can't talk about time empowerment and talk about your calendar and focusing and multitasking. And I can't do all that stuff. I often just pick one thing. And then if that conversation goes well, say in a podcast or something else, they'll ask me something else. But I start here and there's 100 things I could talk to you about time management, but I don't, because then it just gets too overwhelming. So the more research you do, the more you might find like, okay, more and more, I think I got my hands full with just communication, how I snap at my kids, how I bite my tongue with my boss, how I'm not speaking my mind, how I go over things in my head before I'm going to bed that I feel bad that I said, whatever. So it won't be that we call it communication, but it might be like, hey, let's talk about communication, because I know for the people I work with, that's the most painful point. Do you fall into bed at night and the last thought you have is something guilty that you think, oh, I should have used a different tone with someone? Yeah, that's a symptom of modern mother madness. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
Makes sense?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I remember when I started this, you said, what's something you can talk about forever and ever, all day, all day, all night? This, I feel like I could. I feel like once getting into it, I can create that expert with the professionals of what they say and my experience, and I can have enough content to really, so you're going to help me do all that, right? I'm going to fire stuff and this is where you're going to help me with all this stuff.
Yeah, we will leave no stone unturned. We'll tell you what to, I'm helping you already. I'm telling you what not to say, when to say it. So we will help you with every aspect of that, the language, the marketing, the titles, the PDFs, when to put it out, when to not to put it, how to drop it on Facebook, when to join other groups, what to say in these groups, all that stuff.
Amazing. Okay. I want to get to that. So I'm going to start delving into it. You're going to see a lot of Modere and different stuff. On my Facebook, but know in the background that I'll be sending you Google Docs on the daily.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're set for next week and you're in Canada, so we're good there because it's not an American holiday. Okay, so you're good for the same time next week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So just do the homework. Do you have any other questions?
I think I'm set, ready to go.
Okay.
All
awesome
right.
Sauce, as my niece says. So you're good, and just start doing the homework. And yes, we will be with you every step of the way, making sure every step you take is a sure-footed one.
Phenomenal. Oh my gosh, I'm excited. Okay. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Bye.